Hello, hello, and welcome back everyone to War on the Sea. Task Force Vulture is under attack on their retreat back to Rabaul. The enemy carrier has sent out a flight of torpedo bombers, but luckily the Zeros launched from Rabaul have come to the rescue. Hopefully we can get some excellent passes and really just batter these torpedo bombers before they get into range and drop their payloads, of course. That would be the dream. We've got one strafing run on, but unfortunately did not manage to penetrate their armour. There we go, one plane is down. Sounds like we did manage to hit other planes with other passes. We can see one in the distance there, a couple going down. That's absolutely brilliant. But we're still struggling on this first actual wing here. Two torpedo bombers remaining here. Should be able to get one else at range there. That's great stuff. Can we get one more before they drop? That looks like it's about to drop. Also going for the target does appear to be the Myoko so far. Unfortunately can't turn away quick enough. Has that dropped just yet? Very difficult to tell. It doesn't look like it. There we go. It does drop now. So we're going to turn away, of course, with Myoko. Myoko is the leading ship in this formation. Where do we see that going? Well, we can let that overshoot us now. We come to a halt with Myoko and just move out at full speed. Take a hard port side turn with Takao. Now that should be absolutely fine. Looks like we did down every single plane without losing any. Lovely stuff, without losing any zeros. Take a report, 12 out of 12 down. So I'd imagine there'll be 12 more to come very shortly. So yes, welcome back everyone to War on the Sea, as of course the Imperial Japanese Navy for our total domination campaign, which, well, has been a bit of backs and forwards, hasn't there? The enemy's tried to take the Shortland Islands off of us. We've just about stabilised over there, but on the turn of the next day, we do see a potential carrier task force coming over to have a look at that. We're going to try and keep I-15 to get on course to destroy that, but that's not going to make it, is it? That's going to take 19, basically 20 hours to get over there. Let's send them straight over to the Shortland Islands at least and see what happens. We did not get intercepted by any further dive bombers on Vulture Group, which is absolutely brilliant. And that's largely because the visibility was getting worse and worse as the day came to a close. It will be day 21 very soon. Well, it is today, but the timer needs to tick over. Once we get over to Rabaul exactly, we're going to take stock of our situation a little more closely with this task force. We probably want to try and keep the Yamato out in active service. We'll double check the exact damage there, but I think we'll be sending Myoko back. Do we have anything in the dockyard at the moment? We're waiting for a Nagato in 19 days. Okay. We'll see exactly what command points we're going to get. Currently it's standing at 117. So it doesn't give us a lot of leeway, because really I'd like to get an escort carrier out, but I'd also really like to add a few more destroyers to this group, since we lost 3 in that previous battle. That leaves us just the Akazuki there. So we'll see what happens. We're going to have to play a lot more passively now, a lot more defensively. Probably just sit around the Shortland Islands, make sure we keep hold of that. And stay away for the minute around Milne Bay. Now that we have that, hopefully we can avoid the enemy's surface groups over there. And we did see a carrier around there previously. So that's probably going to be the plan moving forwards. Let's see if we can catch this potential carrier group. Well, rather than wait and see what that potential carrier group had to offer for us, I thought we'd send out some Domryus to try and aggressively scout them. Now, this group is going back towards Guadalcanal, which is brilliant for us. It's fairly small, and in fact it's a Montana group. Okay, lovely stuff. Well, that's a prime target for our bombers. It's a double Montana group. Even better. Okay, let's group up the Domryus into a Vic, increase our altitude to 1,500 meters, come round to the flank of the first Montana on the rear, and of course we'll break an attack as we get closer. Well, that Montana did get hit by 2 bombs, but they were dud bombs. So pretty much a waste of time there. Not to worry, I-15 has actually found an enemy scouting group towards Milne Bay. So we might be able to catch something just as juicy as Montana, and this task force is led by an Iowa, as you can see there in the distance. Now, visibility is absolutely terrible. You can see the waves of the sea really crashing against our periscope. So that's absolutely brilliant. That keeps us extra stealthy. So the total visibility is actually 45%, and the sea state is 6. Let's target that Iowa and identify it and see how our solution builds up. We might need to get closer. We're currently 8.5 kilometers away from that. So we have 6 torpedoes loaded, currently going for a 1 degree spread. We might change that, but a 2 degree spread is very wide for 6 torpedoes if you want all of them to hit. There's a possibility that it might even change that even higher depending on how our solution moves. We certainly want to tighten up that lead. The solution's actually pretty decent so far. As we do get close, we're moving at 7 knots. And that solution's only going to get better, and I really want to snipe this down because it will be excellent vengeance for the loss of our 3 destroyers previously over forcing our Yamato back. So hopefully we do manage to actually catch this. Well, perhaps we should have increased our spread to 2 degrees, or even just waited just the slightest bit longer for a tighter lead ourselves. But not to worry. We did hit a destroyer. Hopefully that would go down because of that. There's quite a lot of damage for a destroyer to take. But 4 hits to the rear of the Iowa, clearly stopping it in its tracks. You can see the lists on that. That's pretty much submerged as it is, and a lovely explosion there. I love to see the fires on the rear of that ship. Very beautiful to see indeed. So it's not looking good. 4 total hits onto the Iowa. That's at least sent it back to the dockyard if that hasn't completely sunk it. And unfortunately the fire subsided on that Iowa, so we could see clearly no more damage was being done. Do leave us on heavy damage to heavy flooding though, so we can come back to that later. Unfortunately though, I-15 only has 2 torpedoes left, and I don't think it's really worth staying around with that. So we are going to go back to Reball once again to rearm over there. And we're going to take a closer look at our task force Vulture. So the Miyoko, well, it's lost a torpedo tube and a secondary gun on its starboard side, but the integrity of the damaged compartments over here is actually still pretty decent. I think we can get away with that just about. So we've taken hits onto our funnels and the integrity is not great. I think that's got 1 more engagement left in it. Yamato, well, it does have some flooding on a forward bow compartment. The speed is 98%, so it's not the greatest loss. On everything else, we haven't lost any compartments. Integrity across the board, it's fine, I would say. We can certainly keep this serviceable. Did any of our other heavy cruisers get hit? Well, the Tonne has been hit, but it's 100% efficiency. And once again, the general integrity, it's just got some battle scars. So I think Task Force Vulture, as it stands, is fairly serviceable. It does certainly need to be rearmed. That's absolutely fine. No skin off our backs there. With major supplies, they do need to be resupplied as well, of course. We'll wait for turn of the day. That should only be half an hour's time before we do get resupplied there. I want to bring some troops over, perhaps, to Well, what is our next target and what's our next general strategic goal? Well, I'd love to bring the Shortland Islands back up to a level 3 port so that we do have a forward resupply base. But we can probably deal with going backwards and forwards to Rabaul. What I really need is a decent airfield forwards of Rabaul. Now, we do have, of course, Milne Bay at level 2, and that can bring out a few planes, nothing really heavy. Perhaps we can come from New Georgia, because that's quite forwards, of course, that would give us some great range. It's mixed, so we get a mix of float planes and attack planes. Even if it's just fighters we get out there, that's still pretty damn decent for us. There's less pressure off of any carrier it might bring out. And with the radar there, that's excellent sight. So I think we're going to target New Georgia to upgrade that. We need then supplies, engineering and fuel, of course, as ever. So we bring Vulture, I think just over here for now, out of the way, and our supplies can move forwards to pick things up. Well, we're a few hours into the following day and radar's picked up a contact just outside of Milne Bay. We've launched some Domrews out of Lie. Let's see what we've found. It was denoted as a carrier task force, and so far I don't see a carrier, but we do see a fresh battleship. Looks like probably North Carolina there, but it's a lot of targets to choose from. With only the Domrews here, and we're at quite a forward position, I'd rather actually hit a heavy cruiser in this task force. They're probably going to move to bombard something unless they're patrolling, but there's not a lot we can really do about that at the moment. Nothing's in position. Let's come from the rear, take quite a wide arc, come directly from the rear, and I think we pick this fine Northampton to hit. Well, that North Carolina battle group seems to have retreated, at least for now. But now, for ourselves, we have a Shokaku out. Now, you can see we didn't quite have enough command points to bolster that with a couple destroyers. So this really has to remain close to our Vulture task force, and really will go down if it's intercepted by any enemy submarines. Luckily, we don't know that there are any about just yet. But of course, that's the point of them, so we're going to keep wary with that. We've used some forward scouting to spot what appears to be a battleship group here, so we've sent some zeros in just in case they send out fighters from nearby bases. We've sent Kates armed with some bombs rather than torpedoes to try and maintain our power here. Let's see what we found. And it appears to be another battleship task force for sure. We have another Iowa with a Queen Elizabeth battleship actually, very fancy indeed. A lot of cruisers as well. A town over here, Cleveland over here. In fact, no, that is a heavy cruiser, that's a Wichita. And we also have a Portland, is that? I think so. Very nasty indeed. Is there anything else towards the front of the formation? Yep, there's a Cleveland. Okay, so this is going to be a fairly difficult service engagement, but that's why we have our carrier now. So we're going to move once again to the rear of the formation, increase our altitude to 2,200 meters, increase our speed for now just to get there a bit quicker, and I think really we've got to try and weaken the Iowa, haven't we? Well, that's 4 direct good bomb hits actually. It appears we've penetrated right through to their engine room. You can see the fires midships, and we appear to have stopped it right in its tracks, which is excellent. We can see the speed is exactly 0 knots. It's a shame we don't have anything to follow that up with just now. But we did only lose 2 Kates, and I'm not going to send the Zeros in to strafe anything because we will be absolutely ripped apart with the concentration of enemy firepower here. We want to maintain our Zeros as much as we can for now. Losing those 2 Kates is fine so far as well. I think wait to see if these fires develop at all. Let's take a proper report. Where are we? That is heavy to moderate, which is brilliant. It looks like they've collided with one of their destroyers as well, which is brilliant. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Otherwise we can try and hit that later on as well, but that's the point of these strikes. You need to weaken it bit by bit. But we haven't managed to re-engage that task force just yet, but our supply group has reached New Georgia. Let's unload all of our cargo and see how that's looking for us. Well, of course we do need fuel, we knew that. We don't have anything which can carry fuel at the moment, but I think we'll carry on and make it our mission to just give that more engineering and supplies going forwards. We will need a couple more loads of supplies to bring that to a level 3 airfield. Anyway, and it'd be great to grant that some more troops as well, just in case the enemy does try to, contend that as well. So let's pull back, and we'll remind ourselves exactly what's going on with I-15 and the Shortland Islands. This has probably been sat here far too long, but we can rearm that now, and that's brilliant. We'll bring that down here generally and decide exactly what we want to do with that later on. How are the Shortland Islands looking? Well, you could probably actually take a few more supplies, to be honest. So, I think we're going to play somewhat defensively and bring back Task Force Vulture and then detach the destroyers to go backwards and forwards to give the Shortland Islands some supplies, really, because that could be doing better there. Well, a couple of days have passed since I last saw you, and it's been very, very quiet up until now, where we have actually sighted some aircraft bearing down on Milne Bay. Now, this was denoted as a carrier task force, so we have sent out some Emilys. It's the closest and most easy force we can get at the moment to tackle this, but I'm wondering what our fighters have actually found. It does appear that we see some true enemy fighters, so that's not very good at all. Must be a carrier task force. Yes, we see a Bogue. And it looks like the enemy is in fact going to try and, well, attack Milne Bay, aren't they? So we have to hit some sort of supply ships with our Emilys if possible. What can we get? What's the number 9 position? That's a destroyer, but in the rear is where their cargo ships are. This is a very nasty task force indeed. They're going to bombard us as well with this battleship over here. Not liking that whatsoever. We're in a bit of a pickle here then. So let's move out if possible over here. We're going to have to increase our speed and target, I think, the number 3 for now. Actually no, this one will likely have more troops on. That's just a guess. So we have just a few Torus and Hypsers to protect us. Hopefully the enemy tries to go for a dogfight. In fact, we have the opening strafe is ours. The Hypsers are going to have to move in very quickly though, and they're not moving at top speed unfortunately. So it could change that. Let's form up these then, take off also fire and form them up and just increase their speed to get over. Just give them a general move order for now. We need to make sure our Emilys actually try and attack where possible. We've lost Tory, we've lost 2 Torys in fact, but the enemy does have the advantage of fighting over their surface-to-air weaponry, don't they? So long as we keep these planes off of our Emilys for now, it should be okay, but of course with massive planes before the enemies are hit, so we're just going to break an attack here. It's very nearly in bombing range. Even if a couple of these hit, I doubt we'll be able to down this ship here. These are massive armour-piercing bombs, so they'll probably go straight through a supply ship, really. Let's form up and break off if possible. increase our altitude, see if we hit this ship. Now just go, we can make an educated guess. Ah, there we go, do get a good couple hits, but we lose an Emily. But we see, yes, that's actually looking like 2 or 3 hits there. Magazine explosion, that's brilliant. So that will be going down. Ideal. Absolutely ideal, but we are losing our Emilys, so we can't redeploy them very quickly. Which is a real problem. We might want to use the remaining... We don't have a lot of Torres left, do we? You know what? We keep the Torres fighting, but the Hyverses, despite the Torres actually having the greater firepower, they'd be better for strafing runs. I think we've just got to get the Hyverses to strafe down at least one of these ships. Let's bring them to the rear so they're away from that very nicely looking Cleveland. I'll bring them down to a low altitude, ready to strafe something, and we're going to try and target this one. But as I say, we can make an educated guess as to this one, the Macaulay, carrying far more troops than supplies, based off of its cargo capacity when we've used it in previous games. So it's very likely that that holds troops rather than supplies. What's our Tories doing? Well, they're a bit stuck. I don't really care about that chasing an Emily at the moment. That's okay. Maybe we can support our other Tory there. Otherwise we only have those two. These Hyverses, I think, actually are coming out a little too wide. Let's bring them in. But I think with that battleship there, we're going to have Milne Bay bombarded, aren't we? And that is far less than ideal. And we do see actually at least one of these fighters coming in to contend our Hyverses. Do we try and contest that? Well, it's going to get on our backs either way, so pull up for now. Avoid that, and I think, yeah, we take this dogfight very quickly. Can't stay in a prolonged engagement here. It's probably not going to be entirely up to us though. See how the enemy manoeuvres now. It's got less Tories to deal with. I've downed another one, down that one, excellent. Let's reform. And we pull down to hit this ship once again, I think. It's a number 4, wasn't it? I believe it's called Arthur Middleton. Forget that, might even be Haskell. Don't know why this one was broken off, but okay. Form up again then. But we do see more of these enemy fighters coming in. Lost another Tory as well. It's just not going to be an easy one. This. Take evasive action there. Charge straight towards that supply ship. And really, this will probably take a good couple strafing runs, unfortunately, just because of the lack of firepower these Hyverses have. But we're going to have to attack that now. See, we are being tailed by, I believe it's Hellcats. Yeah, let's look at that pathetic small machine guns coming off of our Hyverses. We do get an explosion on that. Still got a couple of Hyverses to come round. Yeah, that's going to take a couple strafing runs really. We just don't have the time. We're losing Hyverses left, right and centre there. Due to the enemy's AA power as well. I think we could be happy with one ship down. What sort of damage did we get on this? Number 4, moderate damage. Just not good enough really, is it? What's our Toro doing over here? Still trying to get on the back of something. These Hyverses, they just need to escape really. Yeah. Lost all of them. Okay. Let's retreat. So here we can see the task force we've just hit, and right underneath this Jake it appears to be another battleship task force. It looks like that carrier group is in fact retreating, so that is a massive, massive blessing for us. We can't send in any zeros from Shokaku, it's just not going to make it in time. Let's see exactly what this is. And it appears to be perhaps that Iowa task force we sighted previously, maybe? No, there's a change around with some cruisers here. So it's just another... No, it's another Illinois. Okay, that's very nice indeed. Well, it's now well into the next day. We've resupplied New Georgia. We've also got a fuel tanker or two coming down to grant that access to some upgrades. But south of Milne Bay, we've been sighting lots of enemy fighters about, and we were hoping to catch that Bogue. It looks like we've sighted something even more monstrous and much greater prize over here. I-15 has caught that Lexington finally. So we're going to identify that, of course, target it immediately. Yeah, what range are we? 7.5 kilometers away. Let's downscope. We do see some fighters and scout planes in the sky. We'll just reduce our depth to 20 meters. The sea state is fairly decent at 5, so they shouldn't sight us with those planes, but you can never be too careful. Let's get back to identifying that Lexington, shall we? It's CV. I'll go for the Lexington, that big chunky funnel. Really standout feature there. So we don't need to move anymore, we don't need to turn to face that and get perpendicular. We'll actually stop our engine as well. With all of these fighters out, so you can't be too careful. It's not got the greatest of surface escorts there, just a few Omahas and destroyers. And in fact, Portland, having said that, but our solution is also very good already at 87 and going up and down from there. So that's brilliant. Let's come to periscope depth and get some torpedoes loaded. Let's launch 5 at 1 degree spread so far. We're at a 12 degree lead. This could be better. I think then if that's the case, wait just a tiny bit more. I don't want to hit the destroyer. We learned previously that unfortunately our torpedoes don't travel deep enough to pass under a destroyer's hull. I think really that's not looking too bad so far. Let's give it a go. Why not? Let's fire out. It's a very decent solution of 88. Lovely stuff. Love to see it. So, once that's done, we go to silent running, reduce our depth, or increase our depth really, and move away. Very much move away indeed. Fingers crossed we can get this, because it'd be a brilliant prize for us, and for the time being it gives us a bit more air superiority over Milne Bay. Well, that carrier is absolutely going down. Just got this sound confirmation there, but I think that first torpedo penetrated straight through to the magazine. Yes, it did. That is absolutely brilliant. Only one torpedo was needed then, but that's absolutely fine. Need to fire all that you can to make sure that goes down. Of course, that's never guaranteed action, is it? So, excellent pickup for us there. Looks like they've no clue where we are. They're just... Oh, an extra torpedo onto an Omaha as well. Okay, well, we'll let that work its magic and see what happens there. If we take a quick report, it's only moderate to heavy. That's not too bad. 6 command points already off of that carrier is very much needed indeed. Well, it looks like that Omaha did manage to just about get on top of the damage there. Do leaves it heavy and heavy, but that's really not a big bother after we've managed to secure our priority target there. 36.2 thousand tons of shipping sunk. And a few tons of planes, I'm sure, as well. Excellent stuff. We can mark that up as a great victory there. We'll pull back to Milne Bay because there's a lot of activity going on after a couple of days hiatus from the enemy. We want to scout out this group, of course, but we're going to try and pull away with our supply group and get our fuel ships there and build up New Georgia before we end the video, I think, today. Let's just bring up the losses tab. We've lost a good amount of destroyers, of course, 6 in total, which is it's not the greatest. We've lost 101 aircraft. The enemy, however, has lost quite a few more ships there. In fact, that's pretty much it there. That Lexington is the only thing we have to scroll down for there. So it's not the greatest amount by day 28. We've just not quite had the tools to deal with everything, have we? Enemies lost 145 aircraft and 14 ships. So really, it's okay. It's okay. Can't complain much, can we? Every ship sunk is an excellent win. Let's see how many. Yeah, because of the expanded arsenal mod, the enemy does still have 11 Lexington carriers about, so we're not going to be seeing an end to them anytime soon. But yeah, we'll try and get our fuel on to New Georgia for the end of the video. We do have the Mutsu coming out to reinforce Task Force Vulture now. There we go, we have managed to actually get our fuel and a few more troops onto New Georgia there. Let's unload that and finally see if we can upgrade this. Probably only the once with that fuel on. Yeah, that is going to be the case, but that's some working radar. Let's get an idea of what sort of planes we can get off of here. Currently, Howitzers, Toros and Donneries, that's really all we need, to be honest. So if we can upgrade that further, get a greater capacity out, that's some good scouting and some aerial power there. But for now, that is going to be it for today, guys. Great big undertaking once again ahead of us. We do still see that Illinois task force scouting around Milne Bay, but we've managed to fend off any potential attacks on that base so far. So we're securing our hold there. Shortland Islands, despite reinforcing up troops and supplies, the Americans are really holding on to that. So they're determined to capture that. Well, actually, they did capture it, but they're determined to hold on to that and make sure we don't keep it. I want to take that, though, because that's some radar coverage that I don't want the Allies to have in that area. It's so far into our home territory that it's just going to fit. But it's just going to provide sight and show the enemy how we're reinforcing ourselves so deep into this area. That's a story for another day. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you very much enjoyed it today, as I have, and I shall see you in the future. May all of your nights and days be auspicious. Goodbye.